What's up, boys and girls? This is Black and Yellow Movies, and recently Steven Spielberg had some choice words for the Oscars and Netflix movies.
I don't believe that films that are just are given token qualifications in a couple of theaters for less than a week should qualify for the Academy Award nomination.
Some of the Netflix films that have been nominated for Oscars that have only had the 1 week release are Mudbound, most recently, starring Mary J. Blige.
Yeah, directed by Dee Reese. And we also have 13th, directed by Ava DuVernay.
And the movie Icarus, which was a documentary, actually won Best Documentary, and that was a Netflix studio.
Fewer and fewer filmmakers are going to struggle to raise money in order to compete in Sundance and possibly get one of the specialty labels to release their films theatrically, publicly. And more of them are going to let the SVOD businesses finance their films, maybe with the promise of a slight 1 week, theatrical window to qualify them for awards.
Another movie you might be familiar with is Okja. You might have seen it on Netflix. But when it came out and it was premiered in the Cannes Film Festival, after the logo Netflix came on, it was actually booed during that festival. Mm-hmm. A lot of, film purists really hated seeing Netflix around it because they didn't feel like it was a true movie. They didn't feel like it was a theater movie. They felt like it was a straight to, TV type movie since it had the Netflix name.
Recently, the director of Cannes came out saying that Netflix and Amazon do pose an interesting, question for the film industry. But he also went on to agree, on certain terms with Spielberg, saying that, in order for a film to be released or viewed at Cannes, you have to go through various stages, award ceremonies and the love of critics and, cinephiles alike, and a lot of different things that go into a lot of these movies that Cannes represents. Now, he thoroughly believes that all of this is necessary in order to become a part of film history, and all of this is necessary in terms of the traditions that have been carried on through Hollywood and the film industry for years.
Now, not only Steven Spielberg, but Christopher Nolan also, they both kind of feel and share the same views on this, that a movie that's straight to TV is seen as a lower quality second tier movie than a theatrical released movie. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of an old way of thinking, but it makes sense because they are older directors that came up and they kind of cut their teeth in the 90s, Spielberg in the 70s and 80s. But we both feel like this is a very old way of thinking, and these two are kind of not getting with the times. They're not adapting.
I understand their sentiment. They are lovers of cinema. They are lovers of film. They have the classic, feel to them, their movies and everything. But I do also understand that it's 2018, that Netflix and Amazon are literally changing the game as far as movies are concerned. And my number one concern was always the quality. So for, them to kind of come out and say like, you have to go through this and that, this and that, this and that to be nominated for an Oscar, to me, that kind of says like you want the giant machine to continue working, and not just give everybody, a fair shot to a certain extent, because at the end of the day, it's quality that matters. The movies that are nominated for the Oscars are supposed to be the best quality movies. But what happens when, a film doesn't get that theatrical release because it doesn't have the budget, or Amazon or Netflix picked it up, but it has the love of the cinephiles, it has the love of the critics, but it's not nominated because it didn't go through the big machine. I think that's kind of unfair to just quality in general.
He did make a comment in the video where he says that these bigger studios, the ones that he works for, have to only release tentpole movies. The ones, Marvel, Star Wars, the big films. They're not able to pick up the smaller films.
Right.
And I can see what he's saying, but at the same time, Netflix, Amazon, and other, smaller studios, they're picking up these films that we like, that these bigger studios probably would have just tossed aside.
Right.
With Mudbound, it took a long time. None of the studios would buy Mudbound until Netflix came in, or they approached Netflix, and then Netflix picked it up, and guess what? It got nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah. And then it goes to the same thing with Ava when she said that, she put a quote where she said, I only want to talk about movies if it's in the, the theatrical exhibition or whatever. And then she goes on to ask, well, what if you don't have a theater in your neighborhood? Mm-hmm. And I think that's not a reality that's a reality people don't realize. Like, not everybody has a theater in their neighborhood, but guess what? to be connected with the world, you need an internet connection. So a lot of people, whether they're getting it legal or illegally, like they're gonna have an internet connection, they probably have Netflix. They might have an Amazon, account where, maybe they're sharing Prime with somebody. And those are the biggest platforms of today's society. And I think, movies that were going to get passed up by a big studio anyway, that are in development hell for, 10 to 15 years, are going to see the light of day. And we who love movies are going to get we're going to get to be able to see these. I can't tell you how many times where, you see a preview for a movie and you're like, oh, it comes out, in, 3 weeks or something like that. And then you get to it and it's like, okay, it's not playing in my city. And then it finally plays in your city, and you're like, oh, and it's playing at an inconvenient time. And you're like, okay, well, I can't see it. So you got to wait for DVD or Blu-ray anyway. And then, but there's been times where I'm like, oh, I really want to see this film. And then I'm like, oh, when did it say it was coming out? I'll look it up later. And I'll turn on Netflix or Amazon. I'm like, it's already here. Like, this is amazing. So like I said, the quality is what matters. Mm-hmm. The quality is overall what matters. Let's be honest, like a lot of people have said they don't like working with big studios because of the time crunch, because of all the different people that they have to work with, all the red lines that they have to cross. And it just seems like some of that stuff's not apparent with Netflix and Amazon. I've
heard numerous interviews of filmmakers and producers talking about how much freedom Netflix gives them. And I kind of liken it to, if you compare it to like Deadpool versus just a regular superhero movie, or even Deadpool and the Wolverine movie, which was a piece of garbage or whatever. yeah. But like, they let Deadpool be what they wanted it to be. Just the full, and everyone loved that Deadpool. Everybody loved it. Because they had this complete freedom to be able to do as much as they possibly wanted and make the movie and complete the vision that they wanted to complete. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that movies should come out in theaters for at least a couple weeks before it's considered for Oscars? Or do you feel like we should go away from that? And if a movie is made by Netflix or Amazon or any type of that studio and it comes out immediately for streaming, if it was made as a movie, it should still count for the Oscars and it's not considered a made for TV movie? Mm-hmm. But also, what is a made for TV movie versus a Netflix movie? And where's the line?
Yeah, I always thought it was for a TV programming, like a TV network. Netflix and Amazon are not TV networks, so they're still movies, right? Well,
I don't know. Please comment below and please give us a subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya. Really?
Oh, I'm
always beef, huh?
Man,
I'm gonna have to ask some people now.
Couple noodles, and I like chicken. Don't get me wrong, like I'll fuck some chicken up, but it was like beef was the go-to.